Artificial intelligence having an undeniable impact on academia and education, but while concerns over plagiarisms rise, some faculty members argue that there are educational benefits. So, how do they ensure integrity? Edits Tianshan reports from Los Angeles.
Unprecedented access to information, coupled with the release of highly powerful artificial intelligence software that can compose a script of any kind and style. Some educators worry that plagiarism may be on the rise.
We're just in this disruptive phase right now where very powerful new tools have been unleashed and made available to the public. So there is going to continue to be surprise when we see all the creative ways it can be used and, all the potentially concerning ways it can be used. But I think the better understanding we have of it, the greater the prospect that we can use it as a force for good.
For that, there has to be mechanisms in place for both monitoring and raising awareness, given the definition of plagiarism may be evolving along with the use of AI technology.
We have to warn them about dangers of plagiarism, of copyright infringements, and we need to check on those to make sure that we're really seeing student work and that they're using these tools to enhance what they do, not to as a shortcut for the real work that they've got to do.
That's why California State University, the nation's largest public university system, passed a resolution in March calling for a working group on artificial intelligence in higher education. The working group would examine the impact of AI on academic integrity, as well as the opportunities it could provide for professional development of faculty.
If you just, ask an AI to create an essay to express a fairly complicated idea, you can see right now that the outputs are not going to really express a true understanding, and if I'm evaluating that properly, then I should be able to recognize that.
The use of AI may have totally different implications in different fields and subjects, but faculty leaders at the University of Southern California believe they need to be better prepared for this new technology.
We will have to prepare our faculty and students to understand the potential violations that could occur. But my hope is that as artificial intelligence advances, that the safeguards will also advance as well, so that we'll be better at making sure that the harms that could be inflicted are controlled.
In the early days of artificial intelligence, its scope and implications were unclear to many. But California, the birthplace of many AI softwares, is now leading the process of establishing rules around its use to make sure it benefits higher education. It is Tianshan, CGTN, Los Angeles.
For more on the impact of AI on education, Antony Aumann, a professor of philosophy at Northern Michigan University. Good to see you, Professor. Look, this isn't new that people cheat. It happens in kindergarten, well, maybe not kindergarten, but it happens throughout the course of one's education, that there's going to be a temptation to cheat because you can make your scores or grades better. Here's what I don't understand is, how is this different than any other form of cheating if I ask you to write a paper for me?
I think of cheating as a crime of opportunity. When cheating is really hard, as it was in the past, there's not a lot of students who are going to put in the effort to really do it. You had to find someone who'd write that paper for you. That was tricky. Now, any student can have the ChatGPT or anything like that write the paper for them. It's easy, it's free, it's quick, and that's the real problem.
How are you going to catch me? You asked me to write a paper on something, I cheat, I go to ChatGPT, I hand it in to you. How would you catch me?
The truth is that we need a confession. You have your hunches, the essay will be a little bit too perfect, student grammar always involves some kind of mistakes, and you can use the detection software, but the detection software isn't very reliable. So the best you can do is approach the student and see if they'll confess.
So let me get this straight. We write the paper, and then you got to have a confession software, which I'm guessing is another AI software to detect that it was AI. I mean, that just seems nearly impossible. No student, I wouldn't think, is going to break and confess.
I have had a student confess before, and I've heard other cases where it is happening, but I actually think that whole mindset is the wrong mindset, that we shouldn't be caught up playing cop. We shouldn't be so focused on detection and prevention. I think that is the mistake that we made last semester, and we need to lean into it more than we have been.
What are people in your circles? I mean, you guys, I'm sure, have these discussions, you know, offline. What is the real fear here?
The real fear has to do with the central purpose of education. You know, the purpose of education is to teach students how to think. And for so long, we've linked teaching students how to think with teaching them how to write. But now that generative AI can do all of the writing for them, the worry is like, well, how are we going to teach them how to think anymore?
Why can't we just give you a pen and a piece of paper and ask you a question and write down your answers, just like they did in the old days, not that long ago?
That is a really popular move. Going to paper and pencil exams, a lot of people are going to oral exams. My worry is that misses out on some of the benefits and some of the upsides of artificial intelligence.
What are the specific benefits that you are alluding to?
I think there's two big benefits that I would want to stress to teachers, parents, and educators out there. The first big benefit has to do with individualized feedback. The truth is that we don't have enough teachers to give students that one-on-one attention that they need to improve. But if they can submit their assignment to generative AI, it can give them direction right there in the moment. The other big benefit has to do with diversity and inclusion. I have a lot of students who have learning disabilities or for whom English isn't their first language. And these students often have really great ideas. They just struggle to express them. And so what I tell those students is that they can use generative AI to polish their final drafts. And when they do, they flourish when otherwise they wouldn't have.
I mean, here's my take on it, Professor. It's no secret that going to university, just randomly pick one, the cost has gone up, it's very expensive. If I'm going to spend 4 years of my life, in some cases 5 years, at a university, spending all this money, I'm not sure the grades are all that important, right? It's really, I'm here to learn. And if I'm willing to cheat and just step into your class and get the grade, well, I'm not learning anything. I mean, I'm the big loser. I mean, the student is the big loser if this is truly how they want to handle their own investment in education.
And I think they're not just a big loser as far as their education goes, they're a big loser as far as their life goes. Like, to be a human being is to figure out what you think for yourself, and that's never going to happen if you let ChatGPT do all the thinking for you.
Right. So a message to maybe not universities, but you know, I'm having the similar conversation even at the high school level, where the kids they're learning all the secrets, and even perhaps even in middle school. How should these educators, because what they do has an impact on when it comes to you at the higher level, how should they handle these students and perhaps even parents?
I think that you're trying to do a tricky task of navigating 3 hurdles. Like, you don't want to get left behind, and you know that AI is the future, but you don't want to let AI do too much of the work for the student, but you also don't want to play cop. And I think one of the things we're trying to figure out this semester is how exactly to navigate all of those hurdles, and there isn't a silver bullet magic answer.
Our producer wants me to ask you the future of the workforce when it comes to AI. And I've heard that either you learn how to use AI for good, that is, and that's going to obviously help make you more valuable. And those that don't learn the uses of AI, they become ultimately commoditized.
Yeah, I think that that's true. There is worry about job replacement, and I think there's worry about job replacement not just for other people, but also within academia. I like to say that AI isn't just able to write the paper, it can also grade the papers. And so we start to wonder, like, oh, is my job too one of these jobs that'll be replaceable, or how can I incorporate it into my work so that I can take advantage of this new wave?
Yeah, well, if there's anything they taught us long ago is that everyone is replaceable, and no one's irreplaceable. Professor, really appreciate this conversation. Have a good weekend, sir.
Thanks for having me on.